Hello, welcome back. In this tutorial for Salesforce B2B Commerce for Visualforce, we are going to begin the process of setting up your own development environment with a running instance of Salesforce B2B Commerce for Visualforce. So the method that I will show you in order to do this will involve a number of steps. Firstly, we will be doing this on a developer edition org. We are going to enable the dev hub because we are going to be using Salesforce SFDX developer experience. Now, if you have not gotten this badge on Trailhead, then I want you to do that first. So before proceeding further into this tutorial, I would like you to do this quick start Salesforce DX badge on Trailhead. And I will put the link for this in the description of the YouTube video. So I want you to do this, and the reason is this will help ensure that you have Git installed in your system, and it will give you some of the basics of SFDX. And so let's see, it should take 40 minutes. So if you've not done this yet, take the 40 minutes and go through this project, Quick Start Salesforce DX. Okay, so once we do that, then essentially we are going to follow a very similar process to that tutorial to instantiate a Scratch org. Now, by default, Scratch orgs are live for 7 days. We are going to modify the duration and set it to 30 days, which is the max that we can do that. And also we are going to modify the Scratch org definition file. And I will show you how to do that, and I will probably post the contents of the Scratch org definition file just directly in the description of the YouTube video. So you can copy and paste that in on your local machine before we instantiate the Scratch org, because within the Scratch org definition file, we need to tell the system to include Salesforce B2B Commerce and communities. Okay, and then we will likely need to reset our password, so I'll show you how to do that. And just for the sake of this tutorial, we will be doing no guest users. So this will just make things go faster. In the B2B Commerce for Visualforce documentation, it includes steps for setting up regular users. Authenticated users are the regular users, and guest users, which are non-authenticated users. They don't have their own unique username and password in the system. And so for the sake of time, this is a time-consuming and tedious process. Just keep that in mind. We are going to skip that part. If you know your solution does have guest users and anonymous users browsing and using your e-commerce system, then feel free to go ahead and do those steps. Just note that in this tutorial, we will skip those steps. So first thing to do, let's get a fresh new developer edition org. So to do that, let's open up a fresh tab here. Salesforce developer edition org. Developer edition signup. Okay, so now we have a developer edition org. So great. So that's step number one. So next step, assuming that you've already gone through that badge and Trailhead, you have SFDX installed, you've got Git installed and working, and you're able to do all of this stuff. We are going to actually go through that process with our developer org. We're going to start by enabling Dev Hub, and we're going to kind of follow along actually on that link that I think I still have up here. Okay. Right. Yeah, so enable Dev Hub. You probably guessed that, right? Setup Dev Hub. Enable Dev Hub. Bam, enabled. There we go. So that's done. Okay, so Trailhead username and password. So don't worry about this. We have our developer edition org username and password now. Install the Salesforce CLI. So if you went through this, you should have that already installed. I can just show you here, CMD, that it is installed. So let's just do SFDX update. It should be on the latest version already. We'll see. Updating CLI. So we can probably skip ahead until this is done. Okay, we're all done updating the Salesforce CLI. So that's good. So next we're going to log into the Dev Hub. So we're going to put in this command right here. So sfdx auth web login flag D flag A Dev Hub. All right, so now I'm going to sign in using my developer edition org. So this is my username. Allow access. So that was organizer, by the way, for Salesforce orgs. I've got mixed feelings about it. Anyways, so good. Now it looks like we're logged in there. Great. So let's just check here. Successfully authorized with that org. Great. So let's take a look back at our trailhead here. Great. So let's go to our next thing here. We're going to set up this project on our local machine. And so there's some tricky stuff in here. So just bear with me, be patient, and pay attention to everything here, okay? So we're going to follow these commands, starting with this first one. We're going to make this directory. And let's call this ccrz demo vid. Change directory to that, ccrz demo vid. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and clone their app. That's totally fine. It doesn't hurt anything. Just have some extra Lightning components in there. So we'll run git clone. All right, so that should pull that down from GitHub. And so let's go change our directory, Dreamhouse LWC. Okay, we are in there. Now, before we go any further, let's go into this directory and let's put in our own scratch org definition file, okay? So let's navigate there. So we need to go to here, users, my user ccrz demo vid, right? ccrz demo vid. All right, so there's the Dreamhouse LWC folder. And in here, we need to go into config, and there's the project scratch definition. So I'll open that with Visual Studio Code, and we'll take a look at it. So this is what they give us in there. So we're going to put in our own definition, and you can see here it includes communities and community settings, enable networks enabled, true, and also B2B commerce. And so this is really important, and our edition is a developer edition. And we're just setting some name for the org. Okay, so let's take that, copy it, let's put it in here, save. Okay, so when we create this Scratch org, it will look at this definition file and it will put in B2B commerce and all the licensing we need, and also communities will be enabled. So we will be able to get B2B commerce up and running with that. All right, so once you pasted that in, saved it, then we can keep going. So yeah, we can follow along with their branching stuff that they're doing. So git checkout branch my branch. Cool. Let's go ahead and keep following along to our next thing. It's part of this badge. Okay. All right, so here is the command for creating our Scratch org. So instead of using their command, we're going to use a modified version of it. It will actually give us, yeah, so sfdx force org create and duration 30 days. And yes. Okay. So let's just add, let's do it as they recommend, and just add that duration 30 days to the end of it. Okay, so let's go here, and that is sfdx force org create some flags. Remember that config folder? Config / project scratch def. That's that definition file we just updated to include B2B commerce and communities. Okay, and we'll give this a alias of ccrz demo-org, and then here, that's where we'll add at the very end duration days 30. Okay, and then we will hit enter. And so this might take a moment, but we will wait until this is done. It says typically the command completes in less than a minute. You get 2 items in the output, the org ID and the username. So now we have a username, so I'm just going to copy this username here, if I can, if it lets me do that. I'm not sure. I think they updated it in Windows. Yes, okay. So I'm just going to make a note that this is developer edition org, and this is Scratch org. Okay. There's the username for that. Org ID, I don't think we need the org ID, but I will write it down just in case. Org ID, okay. Great. Now let's do sfdx force org open, and let's go into our Scratch org. Okay, so I'm going to do something that's kind of handy. So I'm going to add a folder to my bookmarks, and I'm just going to call this CCRZ demo. And in here, I'm going to start bookmarking some pages. So I'll bookmark this home page for the Scratch org. Scratch org. Let's see. CCRZ demo. Okay. All right, so I've saved that Scratch org in here so I can come back to this home page. So that's good. So let's take a look at what we need to do next. I believe we want to go ahead and set a password, because in order to install a managed package, I think we need to know both the username and the password. So let's just go ahead and do that, and I'll show you how to do it here. So I'm going to go up to the gear, go to Developer Console, and wait for this to load. And while that's loading up, let's go to users, and you should have a user in your Scratch org called user, and that's you. So that's the username it gave us, and we already copied that down. So that's good. It's got my email, good. So we'll go ahead and change the password for this guy. And the way we do that is, so Control E, open execute anonymous, and it is as simple as System.setPassword, and we need the ID of the user as the first parameter, and then the password string as the second parameter. So the user ID, I think a quick way to do this is actually to switch to Classic, Salesforce Classic, and then you can get it straight from the URL, or you should be able to. So here's user, and no, it's hidden now for some reason. Let's see. Let's go to setup here. Users. Okay, user. All right, there he is. Okay, here's the ID. Okay, so we can get the ID of that user from here, and let's go back to this, put in that ID, and let's put in some password 8053 exclamation point. Okay, and execute that. And yeah, so there's log, got success, so everything should be fine here. Cool. So yep, that's all done. So I will go ahead and pause here. At this point, you should have a Scratch org up and running, and we will take a look real quick in company information, and just you want to make sure you have the B2B commerce license here. So user licenses, let's just do a search for B2B. Permission set licenses, we have B2B commerce. We have 50 licenses for that, so that's good. And cool, so yeah, it looks like we have B2B commerce licenses in here, so we should be all set and ready to go for that. So if you've made it this far, congrats. We're getting there. So we have another video for you to complete, part 2, which is installing the managed package and following the setup instructions to get Salesforce B2B Commerce for Visualforce up and running in your Scratch org. So I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.